Welcome to the Flying S Podcast, bringing City Hall to your headphones. Your go-to source for community news, events, and stories straight from your local Sidney government. I'm Brittany King.
And I'm Andrew Bowser. And every other Friday, we'll bring you what's happening in our hometown and local government. Fast, factual, and focused. Hey, everybody. This is Andrew Bowser, City Manager for the City of Sidney. Welcome you back to the Flying S Podcast. I've got my co-host, Brittany King.
Hello.
And today we've got two special guests from Sidney City Schools. We've got Greg and Tiffany.
Good morning.
How you doing, Andrew?
Good. All right. So, Greg's the superintendent.
Yeah, how about that?
Yes. New, third day on the job when we're recording, right?
Pretty much, yep.
Yeah.
Officially, yeah.
And Tiffany's the communications manager. Coordinator, yes. Fantastic.
I'm full of corrections this morning.
Yes. Well, Greg, Tiffany, welcome to have you. And why don't you just give us a little bit of background? Give a quick introduction of yourselves.
Sure, I'll go first. I always tell people that education must be hereditary because my dad was my high school principal. Yeah, that was fun. And my mom was an elementary teacher. So I guess education was always kind of one of those things. I'll be honest, one of the reasons everyone always asks me, why did you want to be a teacher in the first place? Because that's what I pursued. I think that it all stems back to the coaching aspect of it. I love sports. That was certainly part of it. But I think where it really hit was I had a couple of buddies in high school. We were playing sports, and they were struggling to, in a couple classes, and we were going to have a pretty good team in a couple sports. And so in helping them and making sure that they were eligible, I was like, you know what, I can do this. So I think that's kind of why I started in education, went to Ohio Northern University. I've only really ever interviewed with one place in my life, and that was Sidney. I always say that I grew up in Fort Recovery, and it was a wonderful upbringing. People around there are awesome, but Sidney's really my home. And it just fit. It was awesome. Some of the first people that I met, Tom Clark, mentored me as a coach. Had some wonderful educators, Tony Wagner, Adam Dunges, just really embraced me, and I enjoy everything there is about Sidney, but particularly I just feel like there's something for everybody. And that includes me. It just felt like it fit. Everybody puts kids first. I was in the classroom for about 12 years. I actually did a little bit of TV production, so this studio that you have here is very familiar to me, and taught some math, which I know you either love math or you hate math. I deal with that pretty much my entire teaching career. But then made the jump to be an assistant principal for a couple of years. Got to work under Denny Morrison, who's our family community engagement coordinator. He does a wonderful job getting the great news out about Sidney City Schools along with Tiffany. And did that for a couple of years, worked with him, and then became the high school principal. Made the jump to the district level as district director of operations last year, and then now I'm going to be superintendent. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite the journey, and also interesting. You followed in your father's footsteps.
Yeah. So I have to give a shout out to my mom because I guarantee you my parents will listen to this because they were the ones who were at every game ever, and it's always been natural because my dad was a great athlete. He won a state championship in basketball. He was a principal. I was a principal. It's always natural to compare myself to my dad. And he's been a fantastic role model to me. The only thing he's got that I can't get, he's got a great mustache, and I can't grow a mustache. They've just been fantastic, and I'm just trying to model that with my own wife and kids. You talk about the most important people in your life, my wife, Megan, so couldn't do anything without her. She's a much better person than I am, much better looking than I am, and she's a wonderful mother, and literally couldn't do anything without her. And then I have 4 kids, so Ben's going to be a 7th grader. Abby's going to be a 6th grader. Lexi's going to be a 4th grader, and Devin's going to be a 2nd grader.
Wow.
I think that's the first time I've ever remembered that, by the way. Like, their birthdays sneak up on me. I don't ever remember their ages or their birthdays, but they're having a wonderful experience with our teachers, and they've really turned out to be pretty good kids so far.
Nice.
That's
So
great.
far.
You're right.
I feel like I should hand you a Tony now. That was such a good acceptance speach.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, you're right. That's pretty much.
Thank you to my wife. Thank you to my parents.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm gonna name drop.
I wouldn't be in the position I'm in without the people around me. So I mean, that's you're right. It is like an acceptance speech, but it's true. So.
No, I totally get it. I have a lot of family that live here in Sidney too. And, just the camaraderie that I've seen working here amongst the community is great to see.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Tiffany, you've been a little quiet, but we're going to give you the full
Unusually quiet.
the full mic here to give a quick introduction of yourself.
Yeah. So Tiffany Rank. I was born and raised here in Sidney. I left for college. I did some student teaching overseas. I was in the education field, came back, and raising a family here has been really wonderful. I have a 14-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 7-year-old. My husband owns a business, and so we're fully committed to being here in the community. And while it wasn't what I planned, it's been really wonderful. I've been with the schools for over 12 years now, I think. I came in the middle of a school year. So when I think about years, I think about school years, and I think it's like 12 and a half years. But it has been one of the best things ever. I love my job. My job is communications, and every day is different. And I think one of the things that I like most is that I get to share the stories of our teachers and our students and share their successes and help uplift the community and make it a better place.
Yeah. And you're a Bobcat, right?
Yeah, I went to Ohio University for my undergrad. I also have a background in visual communications, so graphic design. But yeah.
So when the parents or just the community members get to see, your S and basically the yellow jacket that's out there, everything's coming from your desk.
Pretty much, yeah. So when you read anything about Sidney City Schools that's written by Sidney City Schools, that's me. It's my voice.
Oh, now all the hate's going to be redirected.
Yeah, I know. It's not going to go to Greg.
It's not my fault.
I think you do a great
she
job.
does a wonderful job.
You do. It's a wonderful job, and I think it's coming not from the community and having two kids, and even looking at a lot of the brochures and the information that's out there. I will say that it's very user friendly. I love the website, the way that you guys put out the information. I think it's a great way to continue to connect with the community, and I think you guys do a great job.
Absolutely. Tiffany does a wonderful job. And you also got to shout out the people who provide the stories. If it wasn't for our wonderful kids, staff, we wouldn't have anything to brag about, but we've got a lot to brag about.
Yeah, this is a great segue because we're talking about now sort of the start of the school year. And obviously when we're recording this, it's in August, and we'll be well within the first semester of the school year. And so sort of with the transition and with Bob's retirement and Greg, you assuming the role of superintendent, sort of what can we expect with Sidney City Schools moving forward into year one of the new administration?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to hit the ground running. We're going to make some changes. Obviously, Bob was just wonderful for this district. You think about where things were when Bob came in and where he left them. I think I heard somebody put it probably the best. Two things about Bob that'll be lasting is, number one, he always put kids first, no matter what. And the second thing is, you think about, operationally, our schools are in a position now where, when Bob took over, there were some spots in the district where we just needed things to run better. And I think that when I take inventory of all of our buildings and everything like that, I think that Bob's gotten us to a point where, all right, things are running. Now let's move forward. I think that our 4 goals that we're going to present to our staff here at our opening staff, we're going to get better in ELA. We're going to improve our ELA scores. We're going to improve our math scores. We're going to improve our graduation rate. And also we're going to improve attendance. So those are the 4 things that we're really going to focus on attacking from the district and the building level so that some of those perceptions that hopefully we can start to stem the tide a little bit and turn some of those things. It's not going to be easy. And there's no guarantee that we're going to be 100% successful in that. But I do know that we are not going to shy away from it. We're going to move forward, and we're going to try to solve some of those things.
I think we have so many great things going on in Sidney City Schools. One of the things that I think is the strongest is our administration. Our building principals are solid. We have a couple of new... we have, I guess, one new administrator in one of our buildings, and the rest are all returning from years past.
Which is a great thing. That's awesome.
Yeah. But just they are so committed to ensuring student success and then also supporting the teachers in helping them and making sure that all the kids are at school and doing what they're supposed to be doing while they're at school, helping the students overcome barriers of getting to school. We have a pretty high free and reduced lunch rate, which means that our poverty, we have a significant number of kids in poverty. And some of the barriers that they have getting to school each and every day, you understand why their test scores aren't going to be all that great. They barely made it there. With clean clothes or a meal in their belly. So there are things that I think our administrators do to make sure that students are there and can achieve that success. And then additionally, I think this might be a segue into something else, but we have amazing community partnerships that help our students, our families, the parents. It's just amazing that Sidney is such a wonderful community with so many resources to help families get out of situations or make situations better.
So where can people find that information if they need assistance or if a student needs to get to school and stuff? Like, where can they find information about this?
Sure. So the easiest thing is call the board office and ask who can help, because we have Beth Houts fields most of those calls as they come in, and we have different departments. We have a transportation department. We have a student services department who can deal with wrapping some of those services around our students. But the easiest thing, instead of giving 9 different people that you could contact, just contact the main board office and we'll get you in the right spot.
Or even a family could contact the school, the school counselors or the school administrators, the principals. They're going to have all of those resources too. The biggest thing I think is when people are struggling, to ask for help. It's hard to ask for help. So I think, we've got to take away that stigma of that asking for help is a bad thing.
It's interesting. You make a really amazing point from somebody not from the district normally. I was always and still continue to be blown away by the type of resources that we have within our community. The ability for individuals here in this county and specifically this city to give back, whether that's through United Way or a number of other sort of nonprofit organizations, to be tied in like that, it's mind-boggling. And for you guys to be able to leverage those resources to give back to the families that need it the most, to make sure that it's getting put back into the kids, to help maybe break that systemic issue that continues to evolve generationally, I think is vastly important.
You're hitting the nail on the head, Andrea. That's a great point, and I'm fortunate enough to be involved with the United Way a little different level. I'm on the board, and I know Tiffany was previously been involved with the United Way, and I think about, and that's just a microcosm of the support that surrounds this community. But I think about, I go into a board meeting for the United Way, and I feel like every time I come out, I learn something new or something else that's available to our families. And just knowing that those things probably exist is enough to reach out and contact somebody so that somebody can help you, because you're right. There are resources here, and we can certainly support folks or do everything we can to make sure they have a successful life.
Yeah. Obviously, we have the free and reduced lunch that's offered nationally. But one of, I think, the cool things, a local organization, the Munch Bunch, out of the Presbyterian Church, they deliver weekend meals for students in the form of a backpack.
So the backpack program.
Yeah, it's a backpack
program. I've been
program.
involved with it before.
And they, every week they get together, I think like maybe Wednesday or something, and they pack and they, have an assembly line where they pack things up, and then those bags get delivered to the school, and then the school discreetly delivers them to the kids. And so that's, I think, going up into 4th grade. So those kids have some snacks and some food for the weekend. I love that. I think food insecurity is one of the biggest things that many of our students face. So obviously having, the resources at Agape, and then the Munch Bunch program, and then at school, free and reduced lunch. Kids who are on free and reduced lunch get free breakfast. So it's really amazing. Like it's so cool to see a bunch of different people come together to, lift up our students
and genuinely care for them and their well-being.
And I'll add too, just because we're going to piggyback off of it, and I know it's been already on another podcast, but Dwayne Geyer in the Parks and Rec Department during the summer when school's not in session, we have the summer lunch program and the backpack program for the weekend as well. That is all ran through. So if you are someone that does receive free or reduced lunch, or even not,
the summer program is free to anyone. Correct?
Free to anyone.
It doesn't matter.
all the way up to 18 years old.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up about the backpack program, because I was curious, because I know we did that during the summer. I was curious on if something like that happened throughout the school year too. So it's great to hear, again, these community leaders coming forward and, giving back to the community in a way that is impactful.
Yeah. And so the Munch Bunch program is funded through the United Way with a special projects grant. So again, like there's so many organizations that support our students that are supported by the United Way, and we couldn't. I mean, we couldn't see success with students without them.
Well, and just to give the United Way a plug, they're about to start their
their annual giving campaign.
Yeah, and so you can give to the United Way, and you can give specifically to different organizations. You can determine where your money goes. So if you want this to specifically go towards the Sidney City Schools, you can donate that through the United Way, and Carla can help you with all of that. She's wonderful.
I'd add in there too the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. I know my kids got books, and I think that's a great program to help with literacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was on the United Way board when we started that, and we were so curious as to how it would impact kindergartners, as they finally came up through and came into school. And just books in hand, that's one of the most important things. We have one of our principals is a literary fanatic, in that she is so focused on early literacy and the importance of reading. And Stephanie Klingshern, our principal at Emerson,
she drives around and throws books
a
at
book
people.
truck. She has a book truck. She has an old ice cream
that.
truck kind of thing turned into a book
nice.
truck. And she is such a champion for reading every day with your kids, from birth to as long as they'll sit on your lap to read, and then read to them too. We do one school, one book at the elementary level. So K2, both schools, Emerson and Longfellow, do one school, one book, and every student gets a book. Every family gets a book. And during a 2-week period, everybody's reading the same chapter every night. And then there are little games that go along with it, but there's always an opening skit to reveal what the book is going to be, because it's a big secret.
Charlotte's Web last year,
It
right?
was Charlotte's Web
That's
last year,
fun.
which was a fun one. And it made my kid cry. So I think the first time she experienced crying in a book, and she was like, "What?" I'm like,
It is a very emotional book.
The very ending is so sad, yeah. But I'm like, but Charlotte's babies. Yeah, so that was a fun one. And there's a theme around it, and then with that too, with the One School One Book, we have other organizations that are involved to help. Get the families out together. A lot of times, like K&J's is involved. Bring your book, bring the family and the book, and you get a free scoop. Or Smoothie Life has been involved. Wine In. So that's when you start to get the businesses.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I think Tractor Supply was one of them. I don't know if it was last year with Charlotte's Web, that if you went to Tractor Supply and brought your book, showed your book, you could get a special little treat. So just super cool. We have such a great community where people are always so willing to support the kids and support the schools. So we're really grateful.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah, that's great. I know one of the other partners, this is more behind the scenes for you, Tiffany, specifically with the EMA. I know we did some trainings last year at the beginning of the school year, just to familiarize all of your guys' processes. And I got to work with you, Tiffany, on that through Christy. And it was really neat to see how all of the teachers worked with our safety services.
I remember last year, you're like, well, who's going to do this? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I didn't think about that. And if we have some sort of large, scale crisis where the national media is here, where are we going to put the national media? I'm like, oh, we could put them right up on the hill there. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, wait, they might be here for a month. Like, that's not a great place to put them on the hill in front of one of our other schools. Like, things are going to, yeah. So I think one of the cool things that we have here, and of course it was in response to Sandy Hook, right after I started at Sidney City Schools, but we have the response team.
Yeah, in all those type of events, whether it be a shooting of some sort or just a medical event or whatever, any type of crisis scenario,
Fire, tornado.
you're never you're
Right.
never 100% ready for it. You never go over exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
But the more exercises that we have, talking about, things that you were talking about, Brittany, about the beginning of last year, and just knowing that we have our response teams and having those conversations and tabletop exercises, what a wonderful relationship we have with everybody. Because the thing that struck me about that exercise we did at the high school to begin last year was just, wow, this looks like one group. And then you look around and
It's fire,
you got PD,
it's
you got
sheriff.
fire, your sheriffs, you got the park
Yeah.
rangers. I mean, everybody and our teachers and everybody was in lockstep because we have common communication. Now, it also helps you find some gaps,
Right.
before an event like that would happen. So, like for instance, one of the things that we found was that it was difficult to follow communication that was coming over the PA while all of these radios were going off. So, afterwards you talk about, okay, how can we better streamline this so that obviously communication in any situation is key, but especially in a crisis situation. But those are things that we would have never talked about if we never did the exercise. So I think that the commitment that this district's made and this community's made to the safety of our students, man, what a wonderful thing, because you can never predict those things. And I can't guarantee, there's never any guarantees, but I will guarantee you that we are going to try to make sure that we're as prepared as we possibly can. And I don't know how you do that by just pretending that it doesn't exist. So very proud of our staff and all of our partners when it comes to that.
Well, I think that's a great step. I mean, obviously, we're all about trying to be proactive in nature, right? We can always think to ourselves, hey, that's not going to happen to me. But if we're going to take that mentality and not be able to place then do we then look inward and place blame then? Well, we weren't prepared for these things. So I think having tabletop exercises, being able to have the public safety, be able to go into the schools, to be able to actively train, because as you're going through it, you're like, hey, we could actually do this better or this better. And now we've formulated a plan that's going to work better for us if, and God forbid, something were to actually happen. Now we understand. And then enough people have been through it to say, okay, muscle memory of what had happened.
Yeah. And I think even too, it opened some networking opportunities that people I knew existed, but I didn't know their role in that type of event. To be able to be like, wow, okay, so like I need to know this person needs this information, and
there's only
these
so
people
many
need
people.
to be here and there, and we need Greg and I need to revisit that because it was such a. I think we both walked away from that being like that was such a wonderful exercise that. And we had some steps and we've completed some of those checklist things, but I think we need to revisit and just kind of constantly keep that in our minds because.
Right.
Anything could happen.
Yeah, and we're not going to be shy about it either because I think that that's part of it is A, the preparedness that you get from it, but B, hey, we're ready. We're not a target, type of thing. So I think that's important as well.
So in the case of an emergency, one of the big things that parents are worried about is obviously getting to their children and stuff. How do parents receive the information if something like that were to happen? And do they have to sign up for it or are they automatically enrolled into this?
So we have a mass communication and it's also a two-way communication platform called Parent Square. And as part of our enrollment registration for students, every family has to have an email address and a phone number in the system. So those things are automatically in the system from our student information system. I was trying to think of what the acronym stands for because I could throw out the acronym and you're not going to know, but the student information system, Power School. So once they register in Power School, all of that information's there. That information then flows into our mass and two-way communication platform, Parent Square. So they're already in there. They don't have to do anything else to get in there. But what's cool is that Parent Square has so many ways that you can personalize the way you receive information, how frequently, how quickly. The one thing is, though, is like in the event of an emergency situation, a crisis situation, they can't opt out of that. They can't choose to not get it. It's going to come in the form of a phone call, in the form of an email. So right now it's back to school time, and we've been encouraging families and telling them you have to update your school records. You have to update your students' records, their contact information, and things like that. That's why we need that information in the system to be up to date. Also, that information pulls into our transportation system, which allows transportation to
Or
pull.
when the superintendent's nice and calls a 2-hour delay.
Yeah, delay. Like so,
Nice, nice.
so the inclement weather stuff. So that again, Parent Square isn't. They don't have to download an app. They can. They don't have to do anything to log on and change information. That's all done through our student information system. But if they want to personalize their communication experience, or if they want to direct message their kid's teacher, they can hop into the Parent School app or hop onto Parent School online and do that.
Yeah, that's great.
Under the same vein as safety services, I did want to put out just some public information from the city's perspective, obviously coordinating and working with the schools, but Sidney in general, also Shelby County, we're like one of the highest in traffic tickets for individuals that do not stop for the buses that are out there. And we know we have a number of walkers, but there are a number of other students that are riding the bus to get to schools. So I can't stress it enough for anybody that's out there listening, or you pass it on to somebody else that maybe has a lead foot or decides that children's safety isn't as important. But if it says stop, it means stop, and make sure that you're watching for the flashing lights. It's not there for you. I don't really care if it's slowing you down, but it is there for the children's safety, and that should be the number one priority.
And we appreciate that, Andrea. I wasn't aware of that statistic, but you certainly hear anecdotally about some of those situations. And on our end, we're trying to do everything we can to be as safe with our kids as well. We were talking about we have a badging system now that's going in place with our kids. As this airs, we're going to find out where we'll be about 2 months into school. It's either going to be awesome or it's going to be, wow, we've got some growing pains with this. But kids are going to be having ID badges, and when they get on the bus, they'll scan so that we know that they got on the bus. It'll also help with some efficiency things, eventually signing in and out of school and some of those type of things. But yeah, obviously, getting our kids to and from school is, it's a huge operation, and we have so many people involved with that, so many great people. But anybody who can help keep our kids safe to and from school, obviously, we would encourage that as well, and we thank you for that.
And I think too, when we're driving through school zones and the lights are flashing and it says 20 miles per hour, we need to slow down and go 20 miles per hour. Same as if the school bus stop sign is out, it's stop.
And that's both
down.
lanes, right? Like both lanes.
So we have
to
a
stop.
diagram, and I'll make sure that it's out on our social media. But we have a diagram of when you have to stop according to the law.
Yeah. Well, we'll share that on our safety services page too when you share that on your social media. Because the safety of the children, and I just hear so many horror stories, right, in the news. I don't want to be one of those people in the news. Let's be on the news for the not having those things happen.
Yeah. I think the statistic is here in Sidney, 15% of all school bus related traffic tickets and incidents and citations, 15% for the entire state was here.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And people should know, listeners should know that we have cameras on the bus. They can catch license plate numbers, and you're going to get caught, whether you think you will or not. If you violate that law of passing a school bus when the stop sign is out, you're going to get fined. So,
Rightfully so.
Right.
Okay, so we've talked about public safety here. And Brittany, where should we go next on the podcast? Let's switch up some topics.
Well, we all love to talk about sports, right?
Yeah.
And
we're getting ready to kick off here. Yeah.
Yeah, what we did, something fun with the AD at Lehman was I had him predict the scores of the first couple of games.
Oh, wow.
And then when we air this, I'm going to come back on and tell you what the scores were.
Oh, okay.
To see how correct you are.
That's pretty tough there.
Yeah.
the Fountains are first
I
football
can tell you
game.
we're going to win. So
Are we? Obviously.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how much, right? So.
Right.
Now, Bell Fountain last year had that.
Yeah, so his brother. So Tavion St. Clair was their quarterback, and obviously all Ohio. He went to Ohio State on a full ride. He's going to be their third string quarterback this year. And, he's a 5-star quarterback. And now, as he graduates, his brother's a sophomore, and now he's getting
The
all these
rising
D1
star.
off. Yeah, so he's not quite on the radar like his brother was so far. But yeah, so our first game will be against Bell Fountain. It's been a Boy, we've played them for a long time. It's one of our longest standing rivalries with Bellefontaine. I always said we need to play for something. You know, like with Piqua, we play for the battered helmet.
Right.
Greenville, the
is
Little
the
Brown. We need to
Little
come
Brown
up with
Jug.
something for Bellefontaine
Yeah.
because we played
Battle
them
of
so long.
47 or
It's
something.
always,
right?
it's, oh, I like
That's
that.
good.
So our new
Shelby County's 47 is better than Bellefontain's 47.
That is
though.
actually a true statement.
Yeah.
You can tell the line difference.
It used
No
to not
offense
be
Logan
that
County.
way.
I agree. I don't
Used to not
disagree
be
at
that
all.
way, but Logan County is going to.
Shout out to the county commissioners and the engineers office.
But if you're making me predict a score, I'm going to say it's going to be relatively low scoring. Early in the year, there'll probably be some penalties. I think that we're going to be a fairly defensive minded and running game type of team. I'm going to say
we've got a new coach.
yeah, Kyle Coleman, because and I'll talk about him in just a second. But I'm going to get my prediction out there. I'm going to say Sidney 27, Bellefontaine 14.
Ooh,
Wow, that's a good
that's a good
game.
realistic
Alright.
score. Yes,
Okay.
very defensive score. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, talking about Kyle Coleman. So Kyle Coleman has been an assistant coach for us previously, but then he spent a couple years at Minster. But he, between the whole time, he's been our weight training coordinator. And one of my favorite things about that is, obviously he's a football coach. So I don't think it's a big secret out there that he loves football. But I'll tell you what, he loves kids. When you go into our weight training class during school, there are so many kids that take that class just instead of taking study hall, and they're learning healthy lifestyles. They're learning how to take care of their bodies. They have no aspiration to play any athletics ever in their life. But that class appeals to kids of any type of gender, any type of athletic ability, and he helps every single one of them. And that program has just boomed over the last 6-7 years. I mean, to the point where now he's doing it the whole day. I mean,
does
that's
it
his
the
whole
whole day.
day.
Yeah,
and he's got 40 kids in every class, and it's really neat that everybody's learning a little bit of healthy lifestyles. Who from somebody who just happens to be our football coach now. So,
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
can I predict Piqua?
Yes.
Piqua.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good
Piqua.
rival.
We have the battered helmet in our trophy case right now, and we're
Which
going
is
to
great.
keep the
Oh,
battered helmet. So.
That's Piqua, yeah.
Yeah, that's Piqua. So
Greenville's the Little Brown Jug.
Yep,
So that
that's
means
right.
that you guys won last year.
Yeah.
And whoever wins gets to
Gets
keep
that-
the battered
yeah,
helmet.
It's an old helmet.
super
like,
old
don't
helmet.
wear it.
Yeah, like it's
But
from
it's
the
in our-
1900s.
Yeah, it's in our trophy case, so it's really neat.
But it's not a
half
leather one.
Half Sidney, half Piqua, and
And no, I like to kid about our friends to the south and our rivals and everything. We love competing against them. But obviously they have a wonderful coach, Bill Neese. He's been a long time coach there. But we've gotten them here a little bit lately, and hopefully we can continue that. So.
I think it's because Coach Krejci's gone.
Oh
He,
yeah.
It's
I
my
remember.
father-in-law.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, so I coached against Coach Krejci. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great.
We
Well,
like-
what's your score? What's your
Of Piqua?
of Piqua?
Something to nothing.
We love to tease about
Boo,
Piqua, too.
Piqua.
And we do know we have some Piqua listeners, so if you're
Yeah.
listening,
Yeah.
it's all in good fun, guys.
Of
It
course,
is.
of
Yeah,
And
course.
it is.
I do love Piqua because I live there. But I love Sydney too.
And
Sydney
by the
holds
way,
a special
plug
place
for
in my
Piqua, their
heart.
superintendent Dwayne Thompson has been. He's already helped me. We've been texting back and forth. He's been along with Bob and along with Denny Morrison in our district and other superintendents in the area. Dwayne's been I'd like to say a good friend. We haven't known each other that long, but I think it's going to develop into a good friendship. He's been a great resource for me.
And Piqua schools, they do have some good things going on down there. So we can't knock Piqua too much. They're actually it's a
wanna
great
beat 'em.
city and
Yeah.
a great
Yeah.
great school.
Yeah,
So yeah.
Well, obviously the last couple of topics that we've talked about, this all kind of, I think, leads into us talking about some of the shared resources. But yes, I think anytime that, Piqua or anybody else down south does really well, it's the tide that lifts all boats, right? And we obviously share our career technical school, which also is a great segue to talk about maybe some workforce partnership and what we're trying to do. Not only because kids nowadays are taking a look at YouTube and things like that, but the college institution or the thought process of how you had to make money in the real world post high school now has changed.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I don't ever want this conversation. I always start this conversation with one sentence, and that is college is still important. Like we still need kids to go to college, but it does. It's not the only path now.
Right.
And I think that those relationships you're talking about, they've always been strong, but boy, have they really grown over the last 3 to 4 years and just started booming. When I think about, UVCC, the Workforce Partnership, our county ESC. We've been in conjunction with grants and programs and this, that, and the other. And the exposure that our kids are getting to real life job skills and some of those things you're talking about how, yeah, college is a great path.
Yeah.
But if that's not your path, it's okay. You can still have a very successful life. And the thing I love about the Workforce Partnership is we highlight that successful life can happen right here in Shelby County. Yeah. Not that other places aren't great, but we have such great partnerships with the companies and the businesses that are in the Workforce Partnership. They come into our schools, and we're trying to get that exposure to our kids, and we have many pre-apprenticeships and so on and so forth, and the job experiences are getting more and more. And it just goes to show you how fortunate we are here. And Andrew, obviously, I know you don't like to brag about yourself and everything, but you've just enhanced that with what you've done, in some of the initiatives that you've had. And I know it probably hasn't always been easy, but boy, our city's in a much better place because of you. And while we're sad to see you leave and everything, wish you nothing but the best. But thank you for all that you've done to help enhance some of these relationships that we're talking about.
Oh, Greg, I really appreciate that. Seriously. I will say that Tiffany's been a great go-between, but there's just been a really great working relationship with us and the schools. And I'm going to steal some thunder from some comments that Bob and I have had in private conversations, but I always tell people all the time, anybody that wants to talk bad or ill about Sidney or Sidney City Schools, it's just because they're not in the know. And I would put our top 80 kids from Sidney City Schools against any across the country, and
Amen.
I think we would absolutely compete.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to say, as we were talking about college not being for everyone, about of our 2025 grads just this year, 53% of them are going on to a 2-year or 4-year college. 33% plan to enter the workforce, and then another 10% plan to go on to tech or trade school, and then 4% entering the military.
Fantastic.
It's huge. We have so many opportunities for that 33% that are planning to go into the workforce to get some experience ahead of time. And of course, Sidney, Shelby County, top manufacturing, is that in the state of Ohio?
Per capita.
Yeah,
Per capita?
Per capita.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are so many opportunities here. About 110 to 125 of our high school juniors and seniors go down to the Career Center, which is amazing, and they're growing. They're able to accommodate that many of our students. We love that. But there are also probably close to 100 that are on a waiting list for all of the various programs. So I think one of the great things that's happening at Sidney High School is that we're looking to expand some of those career tech opportunities at the high school. So welding is one of the biggest, one of the most popular programs down at UVCC. You can only have so many welding bays in their space, and they've expanded. They doubled their space a few years ago. Still not enough. So we now at Sidney High School have welding.
Yeah, how many high schools have a welding lab?
We have a whole welding lab in the high school.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
And just for reference on what you're talking about, the numbers at UVCC, about 7 years ago when I got into administration, started the principal thing, we were looking at each class was sending about 40 kids to UVCC. So you think about that, about 80. Within 3 years, that had doubled, and we're sending about 80 kids per class to UVCC. So, you're in the 150, 160 range of kids that are seeing this as being very important to them. And a lot of that is because of the exposure they get early on in our junior high, in our middle school, in our programs, our career tech programs at the high school. And then they catch on to something that they really want: welding, construction, medical. We have a medical program at the high school and at the middle school. And then they just get to further that even more at UVCC. And, that's what we're about. We're trying to prepare our kids for a better future. Well, let's help you find your niche. Let's help you find what you enjoy, because I think that anybody who really loves their job, like the four of us in this room, there's that old saying, find something that you love to do. You'll never work a day in your life. Well,
right.
That's what we're trying to do for our kids.
I work a day in my life. I work.
I work, but I enjoy the work that I'm doing.
Yeah. Not every day is a horrible day. I think it's important to note that we do have those career tech options. There's medical. There's construction, manufacturing,
family consumer sciences, so nutrition-based things, technology, programming, and then our new graphic design program. It doesn't really fall under the career tech, but it's also kind of a special pathway.
Yeah.
I guess.
And so the state has really pushed for those career pathways. They don't want kids to just be graduating high school. They want them to have their next steps planned out. And honestly, I feel like we were ahead of the 8 ball on that, in that like we were doing career readiness and workforce exposure years before that was even something that was on the radar of those lawmakers over in Columbus. So
See, Sydney's on the forefront again.
For sure. And I think it's not just about just quickly entering into the workforce either. As you had talked about, we still obviously want kids to go to college to be able to pursue that. But a lot of the kids now are graduating with potentially associate's degrees or even...
yeah.
Go ahead.
We had 12 kids this year, 12 kids from the class of 2025 graduate with their associate's degree from Edison before they did their high school graduation.
That's
Yeah.
The
It's
week
amazing.
before. So
Awesome.
super
Yeah.
cool. And on that note, we have all of the career options for maybe those middle of the road kids or kids who really don't have ambition to go to college. We have more than 25 college credit plus classes. So those are college classes that you can take at Sidney High School. In addition to, we have the partnership with Edison State where the kids can go and take whatever classes they want to there, but they can take 26 classes at Sidney High School. And potentially, I think, as we always have these conversations, like, can they get their associates from just going to Sidney High School?
We were one class
We're one
short.
class
Yeah.
short. So,
Oh.
yeah.
You can almost get an associate's degree without ever leaving our hallways.
That is amazing.
That is
awesome.
amazing.
Talk
And-
about a cost savings to that person plus the family
Yeah.
on sending
Yeah,
them
and
off.
so you have like colleges have reciprocal agreements, right? And so not all of I can't say that 100% of the credits transfer over when kids finally land to their 2-year, 4-year school, but the majority of them do. I know kids who have graduated in 2 years from a 4-year college because they had all of their college classes, those beginner college classes done at high school.
Well, and if they know what college they want to go to, then you can research and reach out to that college and say, will these credits transfer?
Yeah, even if it saves a year,
Right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
going to save
or a
you
semester.
a ton
I
of
mean,
money.
like it's huge.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on here with us today. Is there anything you want to leave our listeners with before we say goodbye?
If you ever have any questions or want to learn more about Sidney City Schools, sydneycityschools.org, or find us on Facebook at Sidney Schools, also on Instagram.
Absolutely. And the other thing I have is, once again, thanks, Andrew, for all you've done. And thank you so much. We really appreciate our relationship with everybody, but especially with the city. So
I'm going to add to Greg's phone is always open for phone calls.
That's right.
If
don't
somebody,
get my cell phone out yet, okay? You can call the office.
you can call the
So,
office. No, Greg is going to kind of like Bob. I think Greg's going to have come see me, come talk to me. It's
Absolutely.
Very
not a-
open communication.
Very open communication. Yeah.
That's my job.
Well,
So,
and I feel
yep.
like that's important, especially with schools when it involves children. I
Yeah.
think that's very
Yeah.
important.
We all, the good news is everybody in this community, all of our families, all of our teachers, everybody at the board office, we're pulling the rope in the same direction, and that is we want what's best for kids and we want them to succeed.
Absolutely.
great.
I think anybody listening to this can see that Sidney City Schools are in good hands, and only good things are going to continue here into the future.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, and next year when we have you guys back on, we'll do a more deep dive on some of these programs that you have and really go into the details of them.
And you're going to bring up the football scores again.
Of course.
Okay, all right.
Yes. All right.
Hopefully I'm right.
Unfortunately, the game didn't go as planned. Greg had predicted Sidney 27, Bellefontaine 14. However, Bellefontaine came out strong and took the victory with a final score of 55-21 over Sidney. Tough night for the Yellow Jackets, but the season's not over yet. They'll regroup, hit the practice field, and come back ready for the next challenge. Well, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.